Just look at what Elon and Trump are doing to our health care, our veterans benefits, and Social Security. They are slashing the programs that we have spent a lifetime paying into. By the way, not them, because they haven't paid their fair share in taxes in years.
Yes, those rascally billionaires haven't paid their fair share of taxes in years, says a member of Congress who creates the tax code. They're all mental dwarves, tiny little dwarves living under trees with microscopic brains. There are squirrels that are smarter than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Although I don't think Joe Biden is smart. I think Joe Biden might be dumber than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Hard to say. Well, a very good Thursday to you once again, and welcome. What's more important, global trade or the water pressure in your shower? Because President Trump dealing with both of those yesterday, I'd say in a very good way in each of the two instances. Remarkable times we're living in, am I right? Yes, I got to tell you, it is whack-a-doodle time out there because of the Democrat Party. And they've got a lot of crazy. In California, they've got the Luigi Mangione Act that the Democrats have introduced in the State House in California, which targets insurers who deny medical care, presumably with the threat of assassination, because the Democrats are a bloodthirsty gang of leftists today. Speaking of which, I've also got, that was AOC, we've got Tim Walz coming up, the man who would be vice president and thankfully is not. I'm signing the cross, because that's the appropriate thing to do. But I love the water pressure, executive order on water pressure, because the Democrats want a smellier America. They'd feel more at home if people were smellier, like French people, you know. But I've got that and a lot more coming up. And in the meantime, hanging on the line, thankfully, we still have Bob, because I was in the midst of talking to Bob, having a great conversation with Bob, and Bob was just telling me about a couple of things, being a Naval Academy graduate. And Bob, thank you for hanging in there. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Chris. So I just to continue, I think you're a fan of the Birchmere.
The Birchmere, which is a venue in Virginia. I guess it's in Alexandria, right, in Virginia. Yes, I am. It's a great venue, about 500 people. In fact, having an event at the Birchmere 2 weeks, is it 2 weeks from Sunday, 2 weeks from this Sunday, where I'm going to be on the stage there with a number of my friends and colleagues, and we're going to have fun with the crowd there. But I apologize. You should go right ahead, Bob.
No, because I know you've spoken there before, and I would look forward to one of those with you there. So last night, you're familiar with Cowboy Junkies?
Sure, the Cowboy Junkies. You went to the Cowboy Junkies last night at the Birchmere?
I did, and they're from Canada, you know.
Darn Canadians! Were they stoned?
I probably so. And they came out on stage. The lead singer started off by saying, "I came across the U.S. border, and I was shaking. I had to delete all my text messages and my emails, and all. So it started off with kind of a negative thing about America, and later on in the show, she said." You all live in a miserable country. So it's like, come on, lady. You're here as our guest. We're paying to see you, and you're trashing our country. So I don't think we should make Canada the 51st state, Chris.
I think she should be deported by catapult. Catapult. We should catapult her back across our northern border.
That was my thoughts. There was a gentleman across the table from me who was a Pentagon staffer, and I leaned over and said, "This is crazy." I said, "This is just it's insulting," and he said, "Well, it's just music." So I said to him, "Well, I don't mind her music, but her comments are just inappropriate." So that was the only thing I wanted to tell you, Chris, is that there are some Canadians that we really don't want here, and we don't want them as our 51st state.
I'm telling you, and she said when she came across our border, she said she had to delete her text messages. Is that what she said?
Text messages, yes.
Because she's conspiring against the United States of America like a Democrat or something?
I don't know, but when she said we live in a miserable country, that kind of did it for me.
I got to tell you, as I like to point out to Canadians, which we like to call America's Hat, Canada, and or America's largest national park. I like to remind them that Canada, all of Canada, would be the largest wheat field in the Soviet Union were it not for the United States of America. And they're so lucky. You know, we bought Alaska. Boy, they didn't know how lucky they were when we bought Alaska. And we created a buffer between Canada and Russia, the Soviet Union, for all those years. And we kept them safe from the West. We kept them safe in the Atlantic from the East, from the Nazis. We kept them safe from the Soviets. We keep them safe in the world so they can sit around and be Canadians and pick their noses and watch hockey games and tell jokes. You know, there are a lot of good Canadian comedians. I'll give them that. But the Cowboy Junkies, you know, they're left wingers, they're musicians, they're Trump haters, and they come to the United States. And now you say that the person next to you who said, "Well, it's just music," it was a Pentagon staffer. You said
that's what he said. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you think maybe a member of the permanent bureaucracy.
Probably so. And it got worse after that because my best girl who picked me up to go to this event, on the way home, she's really somber and all that stuff. And I said, "You seem out of sorts tonight." She says, "Yeah." She says, "I don't like what he is doing to our country." And so I'm saying to myself, "Oh no."
And is that where it ended?
Well, I don't talk about those kind of things with her because I know better.
I see. Very interesting. And because the lead singer lady, who's Canadian from the Cowboy Junkies, took shots at the United States, and she doesn't like what's going on in the country. I don't like what Trump is doing that to the country. Now, you know, Trump was shot. Scalise was shot. CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, was shot and killed. The Democrats are firebombing Tesla dealerships. They're threatening. They've got in California the Luigi Mangione Act that the Democrats are trying to pass, which is threatening insurance companies, presumably with assassination, if they don't cover absolutely everything the Democrats think of, which usually has to do with their genitals. And I got to tell you, life's full of trade-offs, Bob, and I would never sit in judgment, certainly of your romantic liaisons. Far be it from me, because life's full of little trade-offs, as I like to say. But it is
trade-offs.
You know, I mean, look, that's good. And, you know, I mentioned that I was out, and you said you're Naval Academy, right?
Yes, sir.
United States Naval Academy. And so you served as a naval officer in the United States Navy for how many years?
20, yeah.
Wow, okay, all right, 20 years. Now, and were you at sea?
I was on surface ships, yes, and I loved it, and I should have paid them.
Wow, that's great. That's great. And I'll tell you, one of the things I was thinking when I was driving in, and I think I was thinking about it last night, Elon Musk, you know, the Democrats attack Elon Musk because they say he doesn't pay his fair share. And I did a little looking into this, and he needs to pay more. I did a little looking into it. It turns out that Elon Musk is the number one taxpayer in the history of the United States of America, and has paid many, doesn't make perfect sense. He's the wealthiest guy. Many billions and billions of dollars. And I was wondering, what does an aircraft carrier cost these days? And I think it's, you may know, I'm going from memory, but $5 billion to $7 billion, I think, to build an aircraft carrier.
At least, yes.
Yeah, that sounds right, and maybe they cost more now. But this is a guy, Elon Musk, who's buying for the U.S. taxpayer like an aircraft carrier a year by paying taxes. And most of us buy, maybe if you do well, maybe you buy a police car or something somewhere. But Elon Musk is buying aircraft carriers. And the IB, International Business Times, they had a story a little while back. Elon Musk, and this is great. Elon Musk says he's the largest individual taxpayer in history after a $10 billion payment. And he said, "I thought the IRS would send a trophy," which is pretty funny because he's a pretty funny guy. And interestingly, this is from 2024. in the IB Times, and says he thought the IRS would send him a trophy because he paid $10 billion in taxes. Tesla chief Elon Musk recently claimed while campaigning for President-elect Donald Trump that he's the largest individual taxpayer in history. Musk claimed he paid over $10 billion in taxes to the Internal Revenue Service. Jokingly, the billionaire said he wished that the IRS would send him a trophy. And, there it is. The USS Gerald Ford in 2022 cost $13 billion. $13 billion. Does that include, Michael Piercy just sent me that, Bob. Does that include the airplanes? No, that's not the
I don't think so.
No, that doesn't include the airplanes. And they cost more because, F-18 Super Hornet, I think, is $80 million now. But they're cool, really cool. I got to fly, I don't know if you know this, but I got to fly an F-18, not a Super Hornet, but an old Hornet D model a number of years ago. And that's good. And I did an A6 intruder off the deck of the Enterprise 3 times.
I remember you telling us that.
Which is
great.
fun.
That's fantastic. I bet that was a great ride.
Yeah, great ride. Yeah, and I spent several days on an LA-class fast attack submarine, too, the USS Montpelier. Yeah, the Navy's got lots and lots of great stuff. And Elon Musk pays for a lot of it, $10 billion in 1 year in federal taxes. He said he wished the IRS would send him a trophy, even a small, inexpensive one that kids would win at karate competitions, he said. While sighing that he didn't receive anything, he clarified he was happy to pay taxes for society overall. But I got to tell you, Bob, I'm saluting you, my friend. God bless you. Thank you for the call. Thank you for the story about the Birchmere, too.
Chris, it's a pleasure to talk to you. I've listened to you for so long, and to be able to talk to you was fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks very much. That's great. We had a call yesterday from another Naval Academy grad that I ran into at the Army-Navy game at Northwest Stadium, Northwest Field. Great stuff. But we've got some of this Elon Musk stuff because Elon Musk is much maligned, and the Democrats. Thank you, Bob. I like to point out that Democrats not only lie, but very often their lies are so big, they're so gigantic, that they are, in fact, the opposite of the truth. And they love to smear and slander Elon Musk, and a lot of Democrats proudly talk about how they want to kill him and how he should be shot, and they hope that his Luigi Mangione is out there because the Democrat Party is a bloodthirsty gang of loons. They're the left. They're not liberals. But let's go to, I guess that starts at 17. Let's go to soundbite number 17 because Tim Walz, who is a dim-witted man, the governor of Minnesota. Minnesota continues to embarrass itself and our nation by electing people like Tim Walz, who didn't go to Iraq as a soldier, but he claimed that he did. Remember that? And that's okay. Stolen valor for Democrats. Pretty much the only way they can get valor is by stealing it. And sometimes they steal it from Walgreens because they love to loot Walgreens and CVS and stuff. But here's Tim Walz. He was dancing around the stage dressed like a pixie fairy, and they just hate successful people. Communists are anti-success, and Elon Musk is not a communist and he's not anti-success, and we should be thankful that that's the case because the world benefits.
It's okay in America to be successful. We should celebrate that when people are successful. What my beef is, once you get successful, don't be a greedy bastard and not pay your taxes. Don't do that. Pay your tax and do that.
Yeah, woo, yeah, you got to be because those rich people are awful.
I don't think we should be the party that demonizes someone because they're able to afford something or they're able to work hard and got something. What we should demonize is people like Elon Musk and those people that do that. And that's different. That's different. Yeah, you shouldn't. And the crowd cheers and they're hoping that people will be shot. Elon Musk last October talking about, hey, I'm just in case you didn't know, the biggest taxpayer in the history of the world.
For what it's worth, I'm the largest individual taxpayer in history. So I paid $10 billion in tax, over $10 billion in tax. You're welcome. I sort of thought maybe the IRS would send me like a little trophy or something. Yeah, like one of those, like, doesn't have to be expensive. It could be like, one of those like things you get when kids win a karate competition. Like little plastic gold trophy or something like that, or a cookie or something. But I didn't get anything. It's like, But I was happy to pay the taxes. I don't mind.
Yes. Michael Bloomberg, on the other hand, was able to pay taxes at one of the lowest rates, claiming deductions of over $1 billion. Michael Bloomberg. Bloomberg deducted an average of $409 million a year from his state and local liabilities. Yeah, that's. But Elon Musk, he pays and he pays and he pays, and we buy and we buy and we buy, and still we're $36 trillion in debt. Let's ask the Lizard King, Chuck Schumer, how that happened.
What we should demonize is people like Elon Musk.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. Let us go back to there was a kerfuffle at CNN last night. Manderson Pooper misgendered a guest. He might have to go to the penitentiary. He misgendered a freak show of, I think it's a woman, but its genders are something from like call me pterodactyl, whatever it is. Let's go to the telephones for now, though, Michael. Let's go to Nick calling from Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Oh, Nicholas, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Oh, Chris, what a pleasure to talk to you. I enjoyed listening to you and Bob on that previous segment there, and really enjoy you on Newsmax there. And it's amazing how even before the show starts and as the camera pans at the very end, somehow Jason seems to look like someone just shot his dog.
True. The liberal on the panel, they're not happy unless they're not happy.
Well, he's not happy.
That's
and
a
he
fact.
Never looks happy.
That's how he stays happy.
I am so tired of the media left and these Democrats and these oblivious so-called experts telling us about recession possibilities when they and we have been living in one for the last 4 years. I mean, I remember shortly after Biden's renewed, he reversed previous Trump policies and his EOs on energy and tax regulations, and economists started moving the goalposts real quickly, and they think that we have forgotten. They made excuses. I remember it started out with something like, the Federal Reserve, this inflation is just going to be transitory. And then they started telling us, other metrics are showing something actually different. And then later it's, just because it doesn't meet the historically accepted definition of a recession, that doesn't mean it's actually a recession. And, come on. We have been in a recession.
That's exactly right. And they changed the meaning of the word. Even Webster's dictionary changed it. Nick from Fort Walton Beach, a great caller. And I apologize. I wish that I didn't have that clock. That clock is constantly ticking. What with the Gregorian calendar, thanks to the patriarchy, and we've figured out the rotation of the Earth and around the sun and all kinds of good stuff. Oh, speaking of which, on Capitol Hill, there is a hearing. I didn't even put this in the mix today. But there's a hearing on Capitol Hill, I believe, today, having to do with daylight saving time. And they're talking about, hey, do we really need daylight saving time? And it's not savings, it's daylight saving time. And there is apparently hearing on Capitol Hill, hearing on whether to keep daylight saving time. This headline, they got it right. And Senate panel considers whether to abolish daylight saving time change. They kind of packed a couple of things together there. So, yeah, a Senate hearing, CBS News 11 minutes ago. Senate panel hears arguments on daylight saving time. I'm in favor of, I would be happy to just do away with this switching the clock thing. I think we what do? We spring forward, right? So the sun goes down later at night, and then we just leave it at that and stop changing, because it's better to go out for beers on a patio, when the sun's out. What more do you need? That should be the end of the discussion right there. If I were testifying before the Senate committee, say, hey, what do you want to drink beer on a rooftop deck in the dark or in the sunlight? Well, maybe while the sun's going down. Much better that way. But I think this is a fun idea. We should be discussing. Every now and then it comes up, but it never goes anywhere, like so many things that die in Washington, usually of autoerotic asphyxiation. So a Senate committee is hearing from several experts Thursday, that's today, on setting a one-time standard a few months after President Trump vowed to get rid of daylight saving time. Trump suggested it, so CBS News is against it. Whatever Trump wants, they're against it. They want cold water showers with no water pressure, because that's something else President Trump did. So a Senate Commerce Committee hearing said that they put out a notice, did not set a preference for daylight saving time or standard time, but instead said it would focus on various issues around whether the country should continue springing forward and falling back each year with time. Daylight saving time generally begins in March, when clocks are moved forward an hour, and ends in October. I want it when the clocks are moved forward. So, when it's 7 p.m., the sun is more likely to be up. And we shouldn't call it 6 p.m., we should call it 7 p.m.
When are you going to get rid of daylight savings?
I assume people would like to have more light later, but some people want to have more light earlier because they don't want to take their kids to school in the dark. And it's something I can do, but a lot of people like it one way, a lot of people like it the other way. It's very even.
He gets it. And it is, and that's all true. And we can continue to do what we're doing. It doesn't bother me. I've talked about this, but, we like spring forward. Oh, you lose an hour of sleep. I never, my internal clock is not so precise that it takes me a week to adjust to a clock change of an hour. That makes no difference to me at all. I've never noticed the difference. Makes no difference to me. But I'd rather have more daylight at the end of the day. But I'm not putting kids out at a bus stop in the morning either. Right? I never even went to a bus stop in the morning. Yeah. Okay, I probably did for a little bit. But then I got on my Schwinn Stingray and started riding to school. And that took care of that. Because I never liked the bus too much. I was fine. But when I was a little kid in grammar school, I mentioned her before, we had a bus driver who was a woman, a big woman. And she had the glasses with the points on them and the jewels and the chain around the neck and stuff. She was big. She chewed gum. She might have chain smoked while driving, which was fine then. But her name was Tuna Bell. Tuna Bell. Tuna like a can of tuna fish, and Bell like the Liberty Bell. She was Tuna Bell. I assume there was an E on the end of Bell, like Tuna Bell. And that was her name, Tuna Bell. And if you stepped out of line, Tuna Bell would stop the bus, come back, and she'd smack you real good. And you go home and tell your mom, hey, Tuna Bell smacked me. And everybody's mom would say, well, you were probably acting up, weren't you? Tuna Bell's got to keep order on the bus. And Tuna Bell. Yeah. Wonder if she's still out there, Tuna Bell. Amazing stuff. All right, but moving on, I think the hearing on daylight saving time is a fun thing and a good thing, and they should talk about it. And I'm with President Trump that you move the clock forward so there's more daylight at the end of the day. And more time to have margaritas on the patio or the rooftop while there's still a sun in the sky. I think that's better. The sun makes it warmer. I've noticed. Have you noticed that? That might have something to do with climate change and global warming. The great ball of fire in the sky, 92 million miles away or whatever it is, and that might have something to do with the climate on Earth. I believe it does. But let's get, because this has got them riled up to the dim-witted Democrats. President Trump yesterday signed an executive order, and here's the left-wing radicals at Politico, their headline. And it has to do with the water flow through your shower head that Obama shorted, and then Trump corrected when he came in, and then Biden shorted water pressure again because they're slowing the rise of the oceans. and everybody they know smells bad, so it doesn't make a lot of difference. They don't bathe, they don't engage in Western grooming habits, bathing habits, because they're lefties, and naturally they smell badly, and they smell bad, and they don't clean themselves properly. But the headline at left-wing radicals at Politico: Trump's new executive order victim, there's a new victim of the executive order from Trump, your shower. Wait a minute, so your shower will have better water pressure and your shower is a victim? They just love the status of victim. It's their favorite thing. Your shower is a victim. That's the opposite of the truth, once again. The president has long gone after policies that aim to conserve water in the bathroom. Honestly, we want to help you with Western grooming habits, with staying clean and fresh, even if you don't want to. We want to help. President Donald Trump signed a new executive order Wednesday in pursuit of a familiar and elusive goal, Another colon. That's two colons. See, in the headline and the first sentence, they really do love their colons. Quote, undoing the left's war on water pressure, end quote. Well, the left has waged a war on water pressure because they think they're slowing the rise of the oceans or saving the world by making you use less water, having those toilets. You know, they make toilets that people have to flush 3 times, so use more water, and they're mental. You know, everything was great before these idiots came along. Everything worked much better before these idiots came. Everything. Even plumbing. The Romans created better plumbing and probably had better grooming habits than the average Democrat. But the Romans had, they could, honestly, that in France, you'd shower with water from Italy coming in on a viaduct, and they figured it out long ago. The Roman Empire was great, wasn't it? I think of the Roman Empire at least twice a day, and the many great things the Roman Empire accomplished that the Soviet Union still couldn't do today. You know, Putin. So the president on Wednesday directed Energy Secretary Chris Wright. Do they still have that nuclear waste person who's a cross-dresser, luggage thief? I think not. But that Democrat, remember the Democrat cross-dressing luggage thief? Oh, yeah, Sam Brinton. Sam Brinton probably got a good job from a Democrat somewhere, performing acts of democratic gratification wherever he goes. Yeah, he would steal women's luggage at airports, at Reagan Airport, Minneapolis, I think, and O'Hare, 3 different airports. Stole women's luggage, and he'd dress up in their clothing. And he's just fine. He was in charge of nuclear waste in the United States. Something wrong with that. Democrats, that's what's wrong with it. So the president on Wednesday directed Energy Secretary Chris Wright to roll back Obama and Biden-era rules limiting pressure in shower heads. In particular, he railed against efficiency standards getting in the way of grooming his iconic coiffure. That's his hair. President Trump yesterday talking about his executive order, which would make Democrats clean themselves more effectively and would give us... Now, I got to say, I live in Washington, D.C., right? My best girl and I, we live in a building. And many people live in our building. Our building does not have a heliport on the roof or an Olympic-sized swimming pool, but we have incredibly great water pressure. And our shower head, you can strip paint off a car with our shower head. It's so great. We love our showers. We're there for like a half an hour because it's so great. It's, like Lily Von Stupp, very refreshing. I feel so refreshed. And I come in, Michael, very clean. I'm the cleanest person you're going to find anywhere. So President Trump yesterday, and the media's angry with him for they're bitter. And they're like, oh, yeah, he's lashing out. And the reason they are bitter about it and angry about it, because it was an Obama who is a godless communist groomed by Frank Marshall Davis, a communist who was his mentor as a teenager, a communist, a literal communist. And then he made a communist voter, John Brennan, the CIA director, and then the CIA director corrupted our 2020 election because they're corrupt. They're communists. They're like Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping, Ricochet Rabbit. President Trump yesterday on water coming out of your shower head that the Democrats are fighting.
You take a shower or wash your hands, whatever you do, including dishwashers when no water comes out. But you wash your hands, and in my case, I like to take a nice shower to take care of my beautiful hair. And I have to stand under the shower for 15 minutes till it gets wet. It comes out drip, drip, drip. It's ridiculous. And what you do is you end up washing your hands 5 times longer. So it's the same water.
Yes, that's look. He's right. He's right again. But the Democrats are against it because they want to, in the name of progress, they want to go back to a time before the Roman Empire, and they'll call it progress, right? And they want to crucify Donald Trump and Elon Musk and corporate executives and healthcare executives, and they love murder. They're not on the side of the good guy. They love firebombing stuff. Brian Thompson, they nailed him to a piece of wood, didn't they? Because they're like Pontius Pilate, but they can't wash their hands of it. Remarkable stuff. Yeah. So the New York Post has the correct story on this, and Trump signs executive order undoing dumb Obama-Biden showerhead regulation, which made it hard to wash his beautiful hair. That's what the headline said, and they have beautiful hair in quotation marks. Good stuff. So President Trump signed an executive order Wednesday targeting water pressure regulations implemented by former presidents Joe Biden and Barack Hussein Obama, touting that the action will make America's showers great again. Make our showers great again. I think that's true. And keep his signature blonde hair beautiful. Keep it beautiful. I think that's great. That's great stuff. Yes, sir. Now, what do we want to? We want to get Manderson Pooper too, because Manderson Pooper, he was on television last night, and he had a woman on, but the woman has, because it's CNN, has some kind of gender dysphoria, right? Because she's not normal. She's a Democrat. She's got issues. So Manderson Pooper was on there, and he introduced a woman as she or her or something, and then she became upset, said, no, I'm many people, but I'm not she or her.
Paul, we're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Grace, it's they, them pronouns, actually. That's just so she can use the HOV lanes, I think. That could be just so she can use the HOV lanes. And that these people, and Manderson Pooper is like, oh, no, oh, gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to recognize that you're obviously a woman and call you she, even though you're a radical left-wing extremist fake civil rights attorney. Isn't that amazing?
Grace Thomas, she's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Grace Thomas, and it's they, them pronouns, actually. And gosh, I'm so terribly sorry. Aren't they amazing? This reminded us this morning of the fact that Democrats, boy, they've got a lot of lots and lots of gender issues, and they love Luigi Mangione too. But the Democrats, they've got legislation in Colorado now that would take children away from parents if the parents should refer to their son as he or their daughter as she when the school has decided otherwise. And in Canada, they put a father in prison for misgendering his own child because the left-wing communist rabble, they're going to eventually imprison everyone. They're no different than the Soviet Union, except the Soviet Union didn't have this gender stuff. Now Colorado is doing the same thing. Wait till you hear about this. They've got a lot of mental issues. They shouldn't even be allowed to vote, much less govern.
Like the articles written about me using he pronouns and calling me a man, I feel like that should be illegal.
Yeah, so President Trump trying to make water pressure great again. And the Democrats are against it because they're against everything good. They want a prehistoric planet Earth. The Romans were advanced compared to today's Democrat Party. I think Romans might have killed fewer people than today's Democrat Party, certainly than the left of the 20th century by a long shot. All right, let's take a phone call, Michael. Let's go to, let us see. Yeah, it just crashed. Yeah. That's that's funny. Hey, now we're back. Let's see. Let's go to Anthony calling from New York, New York. Anthony, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Good morning, Chris. Well, it's still morning, depending upon the hours. Quick thing. I love how you do your show, except for the commercials, but we need more Chris. I'm sorry, but it's maybe a good thing. Two quick things. If we let business, actual real business, develop, safer and stronger and better water and electricity production, wouldn't have to go for these, these drip showers, or the dishwashers or washing machines that use so little water. You got to make 5 washes. But anyway, to jump a little bit off, sorry. I'm glad, actually, well, not glad, but there's sort of like a relief that, Trump didn't go and win a second term immediately, because we had the duffer in chief who basically exposed the whole left, and holy smokes. And I'm wondering now, with all the billions and hundreds of billions being uncovered, maybe we won't have to pay taxes, you think, at a certain point?
Well, I admire your optimism. I would hang that out there as something to be hopeful about. It might be improbable, though, because we spend so much money, and we're so in debt, $36 trillion in debt, that's going to be an issue. But you're right about President Trump and the drip, and they have these low-flow toilets and the water-saving shower heads. And it makes everything worse. And it's true that you very often end up using more water, because whatever the left does, whatever they say their goal is, they normally produce the opposite of the stated objective, right?
180.
Yeah.
180. Incredible. But, and again, remember 10% for the big guy. I wonder if 10% of these hundreds of billions, if we uncover them, that would be a good thing, too. And then we would be able to use, real shower heads.
Real shower heads, yeah. And I tell you, we just moved into a new apartment and removed the water savers and stuff. I had to swap out a handheld shower head thing, and because it doesn't work. You take out the water saver, it still doesn't do the job.